This is another edition of the program, The Great Mind. That program that reveals the secrets to the true and lasting success. I'm Bola Olayode, your regular hostess of the program. On this episode of the program, we are featuring Chief John Agboola Ololade Odeyemi. He is an international figure. He is the chairman of Ecobank. He is a member of the governing board of UNESCO. He is a great achiever, but with all his achievements, he is an humble man by excellence. This is Locorest compound in Ile-Ife, the origin of Chief John Agboola Odeyemi, the Obashewa of Ife land and Bobajiro of Iloko Ijesha. This building is the house of his late father, Pa Martin Aworilewu Odeyemi, his mother, late Alice Araola Odeyemi, aide from Lodi's compound at Bedebede Street, Ile-Ife. John Agboola Odeyemi, who was born precisely April 4, 1939, started his elementary education at St. Paul's Anglican School at Yibaju, Ile-Ife, and completed it at SS Peter and Paul Catholic School, Ile-Ife. Young John Agboola Odeyemi lost his father when he was only 15 years old, and his mother, being a virtuous woman of great strength, devoted her entire being to her son and ensured that he grew up to be a successful man, making great impacts on earth.
I finished my primary education in 1954. By let's say unusual coincidence or just happenstance, my father died that 1954. Died early in the year before we finished our primary school. And that made a remarkable change in my career. Because if he had lived, I would definitely have gone to secondary school, grammar school. But again, by stroke of fortune, we were the last set of people to read Standard 6 in 1954. The free primary, universal primary education of Bafemi Awolowo was to start January 1955. And they were so ingenious, the planners. Because they were going to send several hundreds of children to school. No teacher, no classrooms, but they rushed the classrooms in all corners of villages, did as much as they could, and asked to get teachers. Everybody in teacher training college, some in secondary schools, and people in primary schools were equally recruited to go and teach so that we can start the program. So I was one of those that were lucky to be selected to teach in my own school, and that's SS Peter and Paul.
Having completed his elementary education, young John Agboola Odeyemi proceeded to St. Louis College at Abeokuta, the school which was then used as teachers' training school. He was in St. Louis College at Abeokuta for his teacher's grade 2 certificate between 1956 and 1959.
Reverend fathers who were very, very dedicated to education, welfare, and mentoring of young people. They allowed as many of us as possible to teach. I was an altar boy, I was in the choir. Some of us were useful in extra church activities, footballers and the rest of them were encouraged. And they launched a scheme to save some of our money for us so that we could go for higher education. I benefited from that. At that time, when the universal primary education started in January 55, a pupil teacher was paid £4, 6 and 8 per month, which translated to £52 per annum. And I was with the agreement of my mother and the grandfathers. I was only to spend £1 a month. I was to save £3, 6 and 8 because my mother was going to feed me and asked the grandfather to save the rest of my money for my teacher training education. We did that, but towards the end of the year, I had already passed entrance examination to go to a 4-year teacher training college, St. James College, Agboola. And Abafemi Awolowo had increased the pupil teacher's money from £52 per annum to £60 per annum. So I got an arrears of £8 to add to my savings. So I ended up saving £48 out of £60 in 1955. And my industrial, very, very industrious mother took over and said, now having saved this, having passed the exam, I will add the rest. And so we went to the 4-year teacher training college, left in 59, passed very well, and started teaching at Oyo, Alafin, at the secondary modern school.
Having worked as a pupil teacher for some time, because of his unquenchable thirst for knowledge, he left his father's land, Nigeria, for the United Kingdom to take up a career in accounting.
In addition to my grade 2 teachers course, I already had 5 O-levels, all courses that could help me sit university entrance or do my A-level. And so I carried on that way, moved to Ife 62, 63, and did my A-levels again through extramural classes. And by 63, October, I had already taught almost 4 years, plus 1 year before I went to teacher training college. I taught about 5 years in all before I decided to move abroad to do my professional education in accountancy. So I was in the UK between 63 October and end of November 69.
Why the United Kingdom? He had this experience.
One, about accommodation. You were looking for accommodation and people put you there so you know color. Maybe you look into 20 houses before you got one. Then when you then get one, you live under such strict rules of the landlady, who more often than not was either going to be a Caribbean, an Indian, a Polish, a European, or Pakistani, and occasionally the real British. And so they give you rules. They didn't want to know anything about you being married. If you are married, they don't want children. If you have children, they don't want the noise. They make things difficult for your wife in the kitchen. To the extent that when we were going to have our first baby, that's late September 1965, we had my first son, 1st of October 65. A week before that, last week in September, we were forced out because my landlady does not want a child from the tenant. And so I went to college before I came back. They removed my door and my window, late September, when cold weather was already setting in. What do you want to do? So I had to go out with some of my friends to forcibly seek another accommodation. This time something a little poorer, because that was what was available. And my wife was going to have a baby. I mean, from a house that had a bathroom, we went to a house that had no bathroom, only shower, and used eating system that was poor. But we have to live somewhere. Then, by the time I qualified and I was working with a major organization as an auditor with Coppers and Librand, and I was to lead the audit team in Smithwick. Because Smithwick was the home of racism. Because Enoch Powell, who was the arch racist in Parliament, was from that constituency. It was to report for work on a Monday morning. And I got there, and the commissioner, who is the head of security, the commissioner, saw me driving my Austin 1100 and said, "Where are you from?" I said, "I'm from Coppers and Librand." "And did you leader of the audit team?" I said, "Well, sorry, you can't park here. I don't know where you want to put your car. I don't know about you. We have no information that you will come." Anyway, I struggled just to put the car by the side. And I just said, "Please, could you tell your MD or finance director, Mr. John Odeyemi from Coppers and Librand, he had to audit the company." He said, "You?" He said, "You are joking. You will never see my finance director or MD. Who are you to see them?" But I said, "Please, in your own interest, just go and deliver my message. If they don't want to see me, I go back to where I come from." And when he told them, not only the finance director himself from the third floor walked down with the commissioner, came to embrace me and shake my hand. He said, "Mr. Odeyemi, so we've been expecting you." I said, "We have had some issues." And as soon as the commissioner saw me being embraced, it changed. And then they asked him, "Can you take his key and park his car near the MD's car?" I was shocked. Then, as if I've not seen anything, lunchtime, we came to the director's room to eat. The people bringing food, when one of the ladies sighted me, the whole food tray for the first course collapsed, dropped. Eyes turned really red. But people got to understand. And then they just turned to me and said, "Please, be calm." So some other people to bring food. And they knew what happened, appealed to me. The woman was sorry for herself. So after that first day episode of the commissioner not allowing me to park, of one of the waitresses not feeling bad about serving a black man food in director's canteen, I think they all were told to adjust, and they adjusted.
Because of his love for his mother, who has been the bedrock of his success, and the love for his country, Nigeria, without minding the civil war that was still on in 1969 in Nigeria, as he was making waves in his accounting profession in UK. He forsook everything and came back to Nigeria to contribute his own quota in building his beloved nation.
When I was trying to come back to Nigeria in 1969, they were trying to find me a job as chief accountant of the group. But I said, "I'm coming to Nigeria." And then the MD called me and said, Mr. Odeyemi, now this is now discrimination in reverse. How can it be? Say, going back to a country at war in 69? You've been in this country for about 6 years. You have the best of qualifications, best of experiences. You understand us, we understand you. We want to lift you up. You say you are going back to that country. You say you are now discriminating against a system that made you. You want to go back to your poor country. I say yes, poor country. That's where I'm going. But my people will remain poor forever until people like me who have Western education go back home to reposition the country for development.
Chief John Agboola Odeyemi is an happy family man, although he planned to have only one wife with 3 children. Being destined to have a large family, against his plan, he ended up to be a polygamist with 3 wives. His first wife is Chief Cecilia Olateju Odeyemi. His second wife is Chief Vicky Odeyemi. Chief Koforola Odeyemi, who is now the Deputy Registrar in University of Lagos, is his 3rd wife. She speaks on behalf of other members of the family.
The Chief Obashewa John Agboola Odeyemi is a very fair person. And sometimes you ask why should somebody like him be married to 3 wives? But I would say it's because of his innate, that is inborn consideration, human feelings. And that's why he's been able to keep the 3 of us. For instance, I'm the youngest, and I've known him for the past 1971 to this time. So if, as a 3rd wife, I can stay with 2 other women that are my senior colleagues for the past 30 years, and you understand that the family is just a God-made family. Otherwise, you'll be wondering why and how are they making it. But a lot depend on the man. Most men that are able to keep polygamy is because they are fair and considerate. Otherwise, the house will be in a shambles. But you can see that our house is a peaceful one, and by the grace of God, we are all happy.
The Anglican Bishop of Ife Diocese, Bishop Oluranti Oluwole Odubogun, is the spiritual father of Chief John Agboola Odeyemi.
He's a stalwart in the Church of God. In the Diocese of Ife, he continues to contribute gloriously for the promotion of the glory of God. Single-handedly, he has built a chapel that is for public worship beside his official residence. The chapel is now reaching out. Through that chapel, a lot of work is being done. It is the first air-conditioned church in the Diocese of Ife.
Chief John Agboola Odeyemi is a man who uses his wealth to better the lot of others. Mr. Benson Enujoke is the driver of Chief Odeyemi for more than 20 years. He attached to the philanthropic nature of Obashewa of the source.
Chief Odeyemi is a father to me, and to anybody that comes close to him. He's a father. I have a building in my village today that he has contributed over 85%. That and other things like my son, my wife, the shop my wife is running today, he has contributed over 90% to it. So like I said, he's a father.
Chief John Odeyemi is an uncle to Engineer Tunji Opawole, Chairman Ife Central Local Government.
First of all, is my uncle, my very good uncle for that matter. Chief John Agboola Odeyemi is the Obashewa of Ife. He's done so much for this community. I'm talking about the Ife community. And when you hear that somebody is the Obashewa, traditionally, you know that that's somebody that has accomplished. So Chief John Agboola Odeyemi, is many things in one.
Prince Aderomu Aderemi, the son of Oba Adesoji Aderemi, the immediate past Ooni of Ife, has this comment on the Obashewa of Ife land.
That he's very humble, very unassuming. You can never know his work. He's a fantastic man and he loves Ife. And he helps a lot of people. He's a nice man.
Being a man given to service to humanity, this museum, Martin Awonilewo Odeyemi, the Museum of Antiquities and Contemporary African Art, named after his late father, was donated with great number of artifacts in the museum by Chief John Agboola Odeyemi to Obafemi Awolowo University.
It's one of the very few people we look up to in this university as our backbone. He has been an enthusiast of development in the institute here.
This museum has been of tremendous benefit, to the university. So it's a great achievement and such an important, donation that Chief Odeyemi gave this museum, because without the museum, it is very, very unlikely that a lot of the things that we have displayed today.
Chief Odeyemi is all in all. It's all in all. A cultural man to come. A philanthropist. It's a man in which the Yoruba described in those days as Omoluabi.
Chief John Agboola Odeyemi, Obashewa of Ife land, Obajiro of Iloko Ijesha, and a fellow Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, is the Managing Director and Chief Executive of JKN Limited and Jao Investment Company Limited. He is presently serving on the board of many other companies, nationally and internationally. To mention a few, he is the chairman, EcoBank, Nigeria PSC, chairman, Awolowo University Investment Company Limited. He was a member of National Political Reform Conference. He was a member of the National Privatization Council, Bureau of Public Enterprise between October 2004 and October 2006. Member of the Presidential Committee on the Assessment and Monitoring of the Millennium Development Goals from June 2005 to October 2006, and currently he is a member of the governing board of UNESCO Institute of Science, Technology and Innovation Center. He was honored by the federal government of Nigeria as member of the Order of the Federal Republic, MFR, in 2005. He was honored by Osun State Government with the State Distinguished Merit Award for Philanthropy and Community Development in the year 2007, and he was also honored by Ile-Ife community with Distinguished Merit Award in the year 2008. Meanwhile, he was awarded Doctor of Science in Business Administration by Obafemi Awolowo University in December 2007, marking the 19th year of the existence of Osun State Council of Nigeria Union of Journalists. In August 2010, Chief John Agboola Odeyemi was installed as the patron of the union. With all his achievements, his only focus is to continue to impact positively on human race.
You can walk alone, but you cannot enjoy alone. A rich man, my aunties and mother used to tell me, a rich man amidst 200 people is the head of poor people. So the welfare of all those around me and the need for me to be part of their success story and impact them, mentor them, and change them for their own good, for God, and for the betterment of the society has been paramount in my mind.
The Obashewa of the source emphasizes the need for a return to traditional values.
But because there have been so much a breakdown in family life, breakdown in values, that values in particular, in my own time, if you are suddenly rich, people query it as it is done in civilized countries today. If all they know is that you only have a bicycle, the day you bring in a car, you're going to be subjected to a lot of questions. Where did you get the car? A situation where people see people making quick money fraudulently, and they're celebrating the quick money, the position somebody seizes by killing somebody, and all the bad things. Somebody is a drug addict, is celebrated because he has money to give people. Somebody is a courier, somebody is a custom road, everything. And people are with negative values are celebrated, and that has encouraged vote rigging, corruption, bribery, and all the things we have. So, in effect, the emphasis that was placed on good upbringing and love, good work, Christian and moral behavior is being bypassed.
Did you hear him? There should be a return to traditional values. When sudden riches should be questioned, when honesty and hard work should be seen as the only means to the lasting success. On that note, we are ending today's edition of the program, The Great Mind. Next Saturday is another date, God willing. Till then, stay blessed.